This video contains VTOS Start-Up information for students starting on VTOS in Sallynoggin College of Further Education. This video contains information about weekly VTOS payments, other allowances and benefits, childcare, meal and travel allowances, record of your payments, signing in and attendance, course and material costs, work experience and work, finishing or continuing on VTOS at the end of the year, SUSI applications and contact information.
So the purpose of this document is to explain to you all about the VTOS scheme in Sallynoggin and how it works. So I'm going to read through the document here for those of you that may prefer to hear the information rather than read through such a weighty document. So reading from the beginning, Vocational Training Opportunity Scheme, otherwise known as VTOS, and this is the startup information for September 2023. You are very welcome to Sallynoggin College of Further Education, SCFE. My name is Karen Hurley and I look after VTOS in SCFE along with Karina Gagan, who is based in the administration office. SCFE is one of many colleges in the Dublin and Dún Laoghaire Education and Training Board, known as the DDL-ETB. As VTOS coordinators, we pass information between the DDL-ETB and VTOS students, and between VTOS students and the DDL-ETB. So the contents of this document, I've numbered the pages here just to help you locate what you may be looking for. Weekly VTOS payments or training allowances, that's everybody's first question. Other allowances and benefits, signing in, meal and travel allowances, online payment records and People XD, attendance, course and material costs, work experience and work, finishing on VTOS at the end of the year, progressing to a second year on VTOS, transferring your VTOS place to another college, SUSI grants and contact details. So a lot of this you won't be looking for until much later in the year, but just to point out that it's all here for you from the very beginning. So the most important part for most people is how do you get paid and how do the payments work? So weekly VTOS payments or training allowances, all payments made to you by the DDL-ETB will be paid to the bank account you gave us the details for in your blue VTOS application form. If you change your bank, you will need to request and complete a bank details form. This will need to be returned to myself or Karina and we will forward it to head office for updating. This change will take at least a week, so make sure to let us know in plenty of time. Weekly allowances are paid differently depending on the payment you are on while joining VTOS. Please locate your current social welfare payment and read that section only, either the green, orange or blue section only. So it's important not to confuse yourself and to find the correct coloured section. So the first section here is for those on one-parent family payments, job seekers transition payment. So note here, this is only the transition payment and it's often for people who have just come off a one-parent family payment and they're placed on this payment for a while before they may go on to a normal job seekers payment. Disability allowance, illness benefit, invalidity pension, dependent or pension payments. If you are in receipt of any of the above payments, you will continue to receive your payments in the usual manner from the Department of Social Protection, otherwise known as the DSP office. There will be no change to how these payments are made and they will continue to be paid in the usual way to the same bank account that they are currently paid to. Please remember to inform social welfare about any change of circumstance while on VTOS. So we have no influence over these payments, they just continue as normal. Recipients of disability allowance, illness benefit and invalidity pension payments are required to write to their relevant departments within the Department of Social Protection to request permission to attend college. I will be doing this for you, so be aware that the relevant DSP office will be in touch to discuss your course and to get possible further information from you. Okay, so that's not anything that you need to be nervous or afraid about. They just need a little bit of information about what course you're doing and how that relates to your disability, illness or invalidity. So please note illness benefit in particular. Please be aware that the duration of your payments on illness benefit are based on the length of time that you worked prior to receiving an illness benefit. When your illness benefit payments are due to finish, you will need to be assessed by social welfare for another payment if you are eligible. So you may not be eligible, you will still remain on VTOS, but once your illness benefit payments come to an end, that is the end of your VTOS payments. But if you are at that point assessed as eligible for a job seekers payment, the college will be able to process that and convert it into a training allowance instead. Please check with social welfare. So on illness benefit, you remain on that while on VTOS, and you need to satisfy all of the requirements of an illness benefit payment. But if your payments come to an end while on VTOS, you will need to be assessed as to your eligibility for another payment. And if that is a job seekers payment, we can process that and take it over. If it is any of the other payments, then that would remain with social welfare. So the orange section here is for international protection applicants, sometimes known as asylum applicants. You will continue to receive your daily expense allowance as usual in the normal way. Your permission to access the labour market letter or residence permit should be in date for the duration of the course. If your circumstances change and your payments change from a daily expense allowance to another social welfare payment at any point, such as job seekers, please submit any relevant documentation and we can arrange possible transfer of payment to VTOS where relevant. So the third lot here, so anybody else now that was who belonged in this green section or in this orange section, you do not need to pay any attention to this blue section, because anybody who is on job seekers benefit and job seekers allowance is handled quite differently from a payments point of view. So not to pay any attention to the blue section unless this section is relevant to you. So for those on job seekers benefit and job seekers allowance, only job seekers benefit and job seekers allowance payments are taken over by the DDL-ETB. These payments are then called VTOS training allowances. Job seekers transitional payments can be taken over by the DDL-ETB if social welfare asks us to do so by official stamped letter, but normally job seekers transitional payments continue to be paid by social welfare. Normally, the DDL-ETB pay the exact same amount as you were paid by social welfare, although those under 26 years of age will be moved onto the full job seekers payment. If you were on a means-tested payment, this payment normally remains the same while on VTOS and receiving payments from the DDL-ETB. Now, the next bit is complex, so I will go through it as carefully as I can. VTOS training allowances are run on a week in arrears system, and this can be a complex system to understand at the beginning. This means that the payment for your first week on VTOS will be made at the end of your second week on VTOS. The payment for your second week on VTOS will be made at the end of your third week, and so on for the year. So it's always paid the week after the week that the payment is for. So a typical schedule would be a week in arrears payment schedule. You should have received a payment schedule with the weeks and pay dates listed to help explain the process. These were posted out with the F103 forms. Your first week on VTOS is the week that we set you up for payments, and not the first week of your course. So if somebody is starting on VTOS at the end of September, that is not the first week of your course. You may be setting up in the second week of October, and that also is not the first week of your course. So just to be aware, that can be confusing as well. So for example, week 11th to the 15th of September, payment will be made on Friday the 22nd of September, and that will be 1 week's payment. The week 18th to the 22nd of September, Payment will be made on Friday the 29th of September, and this will also be 1 week's payment. And this week in arrears system will be in place for the year. When you finish at the end of the college year, you will receive your final VTOS payment the week after you finish. So this makes up for the lack of payment in the first week when you start. If you sign back on, you will also receive a payment from social welfare, meaning that you will receive a double payment. Now, very important is to check that social welfare have terminated your job seekers payment when you have started up on payments from us. So the F103 forms that you had completed by social welfare have informed them of your course start dates, and they should have terminated your job seekers payments by the start date of your course. Please check your bank accounts carefully after the 11th September or after your course start date if you started on VTOS later. If you discover that social welfare have not terminated your job seekers payment, you will need to let them know. This is a normal process, so there is no need to panic or worry. Just keep an eye on it. You will need to pay back any excess payments, so do check carefully. If you believe that social welfare owe you a number of days' payment, please check directly with them. Changes of circumstances for those previously on job seekers payments. If your circumstances change and you believe that you should be paid more or less while on VTOS, you will need to have a new official assessment made by your local social welfare office. This assessment will need to be on headed paper and stamped by your local welfare office. I will need to send this to head office in the DDL ETB, and it may take a week or two for the change to take effect. You will have all back payments due to you paid if your assessment clearly states the date that you are eligible for any greater payment. So the important point here is we can't do assessments even though we're making your payments. So you will need to go back to social welfare to have a new assessment made. So a typical situation might be if there's a new child in your family and you're due a child increase. If your partner has started a job and there's more money coming into the family, or if you're on a means tested payment and you think you should be paid more because of a change of circumstances, any situation that may require more or less pay. So other allowances and benefits, you bring all existing allowances with you when you join VTOS. So for example, rent allowance or HAP. For those on rent allowance or HAP payments, these continue to be paid in the usual manner by the relevant authority. They have nothing to do with VTOS. The National Fuel Scheme payments continue as normal for all VTOS students. Your eligibility will have been confirmed by the DSP on the F103 form. So it's important to note this is not your travel allowance, this is the National Fuel Scheme for heating your place of residence. However, VTOS students transferring from a job seekers payment to a VTOS training allowance will be paid these allowances by the DDL ETB instead of by social welfare. Payments will run for their normal duration as determined by the Department of Social Protection, or the DSP. These payments often start a week later on VTOS than with social welfare recipients, but you will then get a double payment if that happens. If you think that these payments should have started and you haven't received them yet, you can send me an email and I can check your F103 form. It is not normally possible to apply for fuel allowance while on VTOS. It is also not normally possible to get the lump sum option, but I can query this for you if you ask. So this is Finance Department information, and as I said at the beginning, I pass information to VTOS students from head office and to head office from VTOS students. So I literally bounce the information to and fro. So medical cards, to apply for or to renew a medical card, you will need a letter from the VTOS coordinator confirming that you are on VTOS and attending college. Please give me plenty of advance notice if you need a letter. And from a childcare point of view, as a VTOS student, you're eligible for childcare support through the National Childcare Scheme. Now, with regard to signing in There is a sign-in book at reception where you must sign in each day you were in the college. Meal and travel allowances are based on the sign-in book, so it is important to remember to sign in every day. A record of your attendance is sent through to head office on Friday mornings at 11 a.m, so no changes can be made to your attendance record after that time. Now, the sign-in book, if you've just been set up on VTOS, you have not been informed about the sign-in book, so please don't panic. Everybody is allocated full attendance on their first week so that meal and travel allowances can be applied fairly if this communication has not been sent to you in advance. After that first week, it is important to start signing in. It's never acceptable to advance sign for the week, but if you forgot to sign in, you can always back sign if you forgot a day. Meal and travel allowances. Now, the meal and travel allowances cause a lot of disappointment every year. The VTOS scheme is a very old scheme, and the meal and travel allowances have not been updated by the government in some time. So the meal allowance is €4 per week, which works out at 80 cents per day in the college. Travel rates are based on the distance that you're living, and the rate is per week in total. So if you're living 3 to 5 miles or 4.8 to 8 kilometres distance from the college, then the weekly allowance in total is €4.60. If you're living 5 to 10 miles, 5 to 10 miles or 8 to 16 kilometres, the weekly payment in total is €11.90. If you're living 10 to 20 miles from the college or 16 to 32 kilometres, the total weekly payment is €17.60. If you're living 20 to 30 miles or 32 to 48.3 kilometres, the rate per week is €21.60. If you're living 30 to 40 miles or 48.3 to 64.4 kilometres, the payment per week is €27.70. If you're living over 40 miles or over 64.4 kilometres, the payment per week is €32.60 or €32.60. Now, the travel allowance is a maximum weekly allowance based on the distance you live from the college. But meal and travel allowances are based on 5 days. The weekly payment is divided by 5 and multiplied by the number of days you were in the college building or on class trips or official college work experience. They are paid subject to attendance. Meal and travel allowances are paid weekly on a week in arrears basis, meaning that the payments for week 1 are paid at the end of week 2. So a week in arrears schedule for the week the 11th to the 15th of September, payment for meals and travel will be made on Friday the 22nd of September. Only 1 day will be paid as inductions were timetabled over 1 day per course. The week 18th to the 22nd of September, payment for meals and travel will be made on Friday the 29th of September. And just to remember that there's no meals and travel for periods where the building is closed, so over the Easter break or the Christmas break or over midterms. So the week in arrears system will be in place for the year. Keep in mind that the payment for the week before holiday periods will be paid during the holiday. The meal and travel allowances for the first week back in college will be paid then the following week. So this can be confusing until we get used to the system. So online payment records and PeopleXD. Each student on VTOS will be set up on a secure online payment system called Core HR or PeopleXD. When you are set up by head office to receive payments, you will receive an email from Core HR asking you to set up a PeopleXD account. You will need to set up this account on a computer using the same email that you gave us when applying for VTOS. Neither I nor head office will have access to your payslips, so it is important to set up your online account when emailed. I will be organising regular sessions in the library to help you with setting up these online accounts. I will send out emails to let you know when these are happening. Your online account for payslips will be open for about 6 months after your course has finished, so it will be important to print off payslips at the end of your course or shortly afterwards. So the attendance payments on VTOS are subject to continued participation on your course. So it's a payment for being a student in a college, so continued participation is important. Please refer to the attendance policy in the student guide, which will be issued to you at induction. This is a very important policy to read and understand. It is very important to inform us of any reason why you may be unable to attend college. If you are absent for a week or more due to health reasons, please please keep me informed by email. This is very important so that I don't think that you have left your course. Your weekly payments will continue as normal, but meals and travel won't be paid for any period that you are not in the college. Please submit any sick notes or doctor's letters to the administration office where they will be put on your file. Please note that if you are not attending regularly and have not informed us about your absences, you may lose your VTOS place. It is important to keep in touch. Course and material costs. The VTOS scheme covers essential books, uniforms, class trips and materials. Non-essential items are not covered by the scheme. All items provided are on loan and should be returned to the college at the end of your course or if you decide to leave early. Uniforms and personal items will not need to be returned. It is very important that you do not purchase or pay for any items that are deemed essential, as the college is unable to make refunds. Any queries about books and materials should be directed first through your course coordinator, who will then liaise with me. All coordinators have been informed of all VTOS students on their course and should have placed orders for necessary items. These orders need to go through a process that takes some time, so you may need some patience. Work experience and work. You are allowed to work for a few hours a week while on VTOS, provided that work does not affect your attendance in any way. Work that affects a participant's attendance in any way will result in a termination of all VTOS payments. Please note that any pay received for work will affect any secondary allowances you have, such as rent allowance or your medical card. Research this well before accepting any pay for work experience or undertaking any work. You are permitted to work on VTOS over the summer if you are signed up to stay on VTOS for 2 years. Finishing on VTOS at the end of the year. If you are finishing your studies after 1 or 2 years on VTOS, I will issue you with a letter a few weeks before we finish up to enable you to sign on with the social welfare again if you wish. Progressing to a second year on VTOS. If this is your first year on a VTOS payment and you intend to continue on to a second year in Sallynoggin College, application forms for progression to second year will issue in late March or early April next year. Once this form has been completed and you have been offered a place on a further course in Sallynoggin College and accepted the place by paying the €40 course acceptance fee, your payments continue over the summer until the start of the new course. Everybody on VTOS can apply for up to 2 years of VTOS funding. If this is your second year on VTOS, you will need to look at alternative methods of funding any future study well before the end of the year. Many people progress to back to education allowance payments if they are progressing up a level in their studies. Others are successful in getting a SUSI grant. Transferring your VTOS place to another college. If you are on your first year of VTOS payments, you can also transfer your VTOS place to another college in the DDL ETB for a second year. Organise this early and inform the VTOS coordinators in both colleges to ensure the continuation of payments over the summer. Some colleges may require you to progress up a level. It is not normally possible to transfer your place to another ETB, but you can still apply for a VTOS place in another college if you apply early. In this situation, you will need to come off payments with the DDL ETB at the end of the year and sign on so that you can then join VTOS with the other ETB. SUSI applications. If you are applying to SUSI for funding for yourself or a child or dependent, there is a form on the SUSI website that you will need to fill in and then send to me so that I can forward it to head office for completion. Please do this during the college year. The reason being, if you do this over the summer, it's much more difficult to contact everybody who needs to sign the form and it can take much longer. So contacts then are on the last page. So my phone number here is 01 0285297, extension 207. My email is karenhurley@scfe.ie, spelled KarenHurley@scfe.ie. And then Karina Gagan is the other VTOS coordinator in the college, and her email is karinagagan@scfe.ie, KarinaGeoghegan@scfe.ie. So my office is at the end of the building next door to the guidance counsellor's office. I'm available in the office generally by appointment only, but you can always try, if the door is open, to drop in. Monday, I'm in class all day, so I'm not available. Tuesday, I'm available from 9 to 10, from 12:15 to 1, and from 3 to 4. I will often be class planning in and around these periods. Wednesday, I may be available from 9 to 10. That is designated as a teacher meeting time, and I may be using those times to meet with other people, so it may be difficult to catch me on a Wednesday. Thursday, I should be in the office from 9 to 4, and Friday, I should be in the office from 9 to 3. The best way to contact me is by email, as I can pick these up outside of college hours. I may not pick up voicemail messages for a number of days. If you need to have a form stamped or completed, please post it into the VTOS post box outside my office. Email me to let me know, as otherwise I might miss it. Otherwise, you can drop it into reception and they will leave it in my post box. Alternatively, if Karina is available at reception, she may be able to stamp or complete these letters on your behalf. I will mainly contact you via your personal email, although I may also use your Microsoft College email addresses at times also. Please check your email regularly. If something is really urgent, I will call you, so please ensure to have a messaging service set up. So I'm using your personal email mainly because I have established secure contacts using personal emails by the time you start in the college quite often, and because your payments are attached to those personal emails. So I think it's clearer if I endeavour to contact you via where that really important VTOS information is coming with regard to payments. So there is a Teams SCFE, All Students Resources and Information team. This document and other relevant information will be available on the All Students Resources and Information team so that you can access it when you have questions. Please remember to refer to this document, particularly early in 2024 when you may be planning to progress to further study. Finally, good luck in your studies, and I hope that you enjoy your time in Sallynoggin College. Karen Hurley, VTOS Coordinator. Thanks for listening.